Hello, friends. Welcome to season 2 of Joyfully Empowered. As I'm sitting here recording and really thinking about the season ahead, I am so incredibly excited and honored about all the messages, all the lessons, everything that's going to come through for this season. So what has shifted? Season 1 started in 2024. And prior to that, it probably took me a good 2 years from like inception, the idea dropped, to I bought a mic, I did all the things, nothing was recorded until one day I was like, okay, it's time. And I tend to be very knee-jerk reaction impulsive when it comes to things, which I do think it benefits me in the long term. So season 1 was about storytelling. I did interviews. We talked about energy. We talked about strategy. It was like a nice little combination of all the things that make up who I am and how I run my business. Now, season 1 ended in, I want to say, winter of 2025 or spring. Then I took the summer and I was like, okay, I took the summer off and I thought to myself, like, I definitely want to do a season 2. Season 1 was so well received. We had like over 1,000 listeners, global. We did an episode in Spanish, or 2 episodes in Spanish, maybe, with my sister, talking about her being an immigrant and coming here to the United States. And it was just so many things that felt really authentic to who I am and how I run my business and being a mom as well. Season 2 is about what it means being a woman entrepreneur. Being a woman, being able to create success on your terms. Listen, I have not figured it all out. I cannot tell you that I am checking all the marks of an entrepreneur, but I think if you ask any business owner if everything is checked, absolutely not. I remember I had a professor when I was getting my master's, shout out to the University of Miami, and it was the first class. I forget what class it was, but he's like, raise your hand if you are, if you rate yourself 8, 9, 10 on an Excel, like on Excel, like 8, 9, 10, I'm really good. I've mastered Excel. Maybe like 3 people raised their hands. And he called them out and he's like, all of you are full of BS, because if you are saying that you've mastered Excel, it's impossible. Like, we should all be at like a 3, 4 in Excel. Excel is such a massive software. And that's a little bit about how I'm thinking about being a business owner, right? If you think you've mastered entrepreneurship, nobody has. It's like you've mastered life, you have not. It's always a learning and ebb and flow, peaks and valleys of life. But I do believe that you get to create success and fulfillment on your own terms, right? I have designed a business that is so fulfilling, where I still get to be, I want to say, a full-time mom, even though I'm not, because I'm running a six figures business, but I'm so connected to my daughter and her life. I'm so connected to my business and my clients. And this season has been a season where I've had to relook at things and reshift things after almost 10 years in business to say, how do I want to design it? And I'm being the architect of my business and my life. So I want to dedicate, if you will, season 2 to the women that are entrepreneurship, to those that have reached many levels of success, to those that are just starting out, to those that are in the middle, right? To the seasons that feel messy, to the seasons that feel like the winning streak. So this landscape of female entrepreneurship, the reality is that women do face unique challenges as business owners, whether it's funding gaps, whether it's gender bias, whether it's the emotional labor that, as a mom, I'm so aware that even though my household is very progressive and it's very, if you will, 50-50, the reality is it's never 50-50, because the ways that our brains work, the way we operate as mothers, we're always going to be doing more, right? And regardless of where you are on that fence, the emotional labor is different on mothers. So how do you support yourself while you're growing a business, having a family? Even if you don't have a family, you're still taking on more as a woman than you are as men, especially on the emotional component of things. Nowadays, women are building value driven, purpose led businesses, not just profit driven. Yes, we want to make a ton of money. Yes, we want to create generational wealth for our families, for our kids, for ourselves. But if the purpose and the intention and the values are not being checked, it's just not what nowadays and the future of women led businesses. Yes, we love our men and they also can be very value driven and purpose led. But for the purpose of season two, we're focusing on women. So many of my clients, I even had a call earlier with a person potentially that wants to hire me, and she's a business owner, she's a dentist, and she's talking about profit absolutely matters, but without the values, without the purpose, without the intention, I don't want any part in it. It's almost like if I show up with intention, with value and purpose, the profit will come, right? So I want to share a little bit about I want to share four principles of what it's like being a business owner for close to 9 years. I know I said 10 years earlier, but I started SV Empowerment in 2017 and we're in 2025. So yeah, 8 years ago, almost 9 years. It was in January or February of 2017. So the ways that I talk about these principles of doing it my way, right? We start with the foundation, and this is authenticity and values. What are the things that you value as a business owner? If you're listening to this and you're not a business owner or an entrepreneur, these principles also apply to you, right? You want to lead from intuition, right? You don't want to lead from limitation or scarcity or what others are doing. What feels right to you? And that's going to require a certain level of intention, a certain level of awareness of how you're showing up. This is an ever evolving path of self discovery. You want to also navigate what is your culture, whether you have no employees, like I currently hire 3 consultants, they're not full-time employees, or whether you have 55 employees, which is a current company that I work with. They have about 50, I think 55 or 66 employees, right? So what is that culture and how do you want to show up? What are the things that matter to you? The idea of building a business based on what I should in order to get success no longer applies. We are leaving that paradigm behind. The things that I want my day to look like, I want to have spaciousness, I want to have freedom, I want to feel fulfilled, I want to feel on purpose, I want to feel like the work that I do matter. For some of you, that means 12-hour days and behind a computer. For some of you, that might be building, being a nomad and traveling around and building a business based on using your hands and being outside, right? The women that I've interviewed so far for this season have such different models. But what they have in common is that they are purpose led, they are value driven, they are intentional about planning their days. They do not have things perfect. They're taking messy action, but they're showing up authentic in who they are and the life that they want to create. Principle number next is designing business on your terms, right? There's not a balance. I'm going to have a balanced life. The balanced life is how are you integrating your work and your life? I was thinking about this the other day because I was talking to somebody and they're like, I haven't taken a day off in like 17 days. And I'm like, oh my God, that's such a long time. I don't know last time that I technically took a day off. But this is the thing. It doesn't bother me because sometimes I work 15 minutes in one day because I have to send an email or follow up with a client. Other times I work 3 hours, and on Saturday, sometimes I work up to 10 to 12 hours. Maybe I'm sure I've had days that I'm completely off. I go to the beach or I go pumpkin picking or whatever the thing is, but I'm still in the background, either posting something that I feel it's important to those of you listening on social media, or making a note on my app thinking like, oh, this is something that I want to talk about. It doesn't feel like business, but there are pockets in my days. Like last week, I was mostly off on a Thursday because I picked up my daughter from school and then we had a super fun afternoon and like evening together, right? So it's a matter of how you're integrating your work and your life, whatever you're considering work and whatever you are defining as life, right? You're setting boundaries and you are creating rhythms that support you, your family, your joy, the things that feel nurturing. Right now, I'm in a place that I'm like an early gym person. But my daughter started school and I have to wake her up really early. Thankfully, I haven't had to wake her up. She's been naturally waking up around 6:15. But my gym time used to be 5 to 6. Now, I don't know how that's going to work because now I'm getting ready between 5 and 6 because she wakes up at 6, I get her ready, and then we're out the door by 7. So I'm in the process of figuring out what is the rhythm that is supporting my body movement. I walk a lot. I live in New York City, but I love lifting weights. So I think to myself, okay, maybe I do it in the afternoon. I don't know if that's going to work. Maybe I do it only on the weekends for now. Maybe it's twice a week. But the point is, I'm not stressed about it. I'm just in a period that I'm creating a new rhythm. What does that look like? When it comes to my finances and generating revenue, I'm also creating a new rhythm, right? I want to generate and put certain systems in place that I've never done before, but I know I want to do it. So it's a new rhythm. So when you're thinking about designing business on your terms, think about the longevity of the business. I didn't start my business 8 years ago to think it was going to be for the short term. I started my business thinking this is a legacy, this is forever. Maybe my daughter in the future will want to join, right? And because there's a longevity, a long lastingness to the business, it needs to fit into my life as much as my life needs to fit into it. Principle number next, resiliency and mindset. Right? As business owners or as entrepreneurs, we are going to deal with bias. We're going to deal with setbacks. We're going to deal with imposter syndromes. I was talking to a client the other day. He's had his business for over 15 years. And he's in the process of figuring out how in the world do I get leads. Now, you would think being in business for 15 years, you would have down that, okay, you figured it out. Yes, you do for a season. And then the next season requires you to figure out what is the process for me to work with clients. So all of these tools of reframing and celebrating and realizing that being a business owner, it's always going to require to be curious, to investigate, to look at life and business glass half full, to support your mindset in reframing the failures and celebrating the small wins. As a business owner, you need to have resiliency. You need to have tenacity. You need to be able to go with the flow as much as you need to be able to stand behind what you value, what is important to you, and have a point of view, right? While also knowing that you are a forever student as much as you are an expert in your field. And principle last, number 4, is redefining success. This is something I did when I first left my corporate career at L'Oreal. And success back then, 8, 9 years ago, was promotional. What's my next promotion? What is my bonus? What is my title? Right? Those were my definitions or my anchors in success. Nowadays, I can literally, like, my title doesn't matter. I can call myself whatever I want to call myself every single day. Like, nobody's going to be, HR is not going to come and knock my door. Bonus and promotions and money, I can make as little or as much as I want every day or every month, or I don't have to get paid once a week or once a month or every 2 weeks. None of that is part of my current paradigm, right? So moving away from the external validation to moving away to what are the metrics of success internally? What is the impact that I'm creating? How much joy do I have in my life? What is the freedom? How do I want to set up my day so success means things that are internal, right? So as you're listening to this, think about what is your definition of success. And if it's rooted on external, how many people are going to hire me and what is my title and how much did I make? It's going to feel like a long path, a long, non-joyful path, right? Because those things are completely outside of your control. But if you're focusing on what is my impact, how am I showing up, how am I helping, how am I, impacting, upgrading, shifting my business and my joy and my way of living, then the roots and the path of success become so much more fulfilling, right? So I want you to think about season 2 as a place of empowered entrepreneurship, right? Women thriving on their terms. If you label yourself as a man, if you label yourself non-gender, this is also a place for you, right? We are an open and safe space, but mostly we are going to be focusing on women. We are going to be focusing on why collaboration instead of competition is the way to succeed. We are going to be focusing on your why. So as you follow this podcast journey over season 2, stay connected to your why, stay connected to your legacy, stay connected on really reflecting on the things that matter to you and the things that support the success of your business and your life. We are going to talk about money and wealth and systems. We're going to talk about legacy. We're going to talk about business models that may not make sense for the world at large, but they make sense for you. We're going to be breaking through paradigms of I have to hustle and burn out and work 70-hour weeks in order to create success. I had the biggest year, the biggest revenue of my business, which was so far last year, 2024. And I was working 15-hour weeks while raising like a 2-year-old, right? We'll see what 2025 brings. But I broke through every paradigm of my business needs to look this way in order to create success. I redefined what success meant to me. I broke through the glass ceiling that I had created for myself by breaking through and reframing limiting beliefs that I had on what it's like to be a Latina woman of color running a business, a global agency, a global coaching business, right? While also wanting to be a really present mom that is doing the things that mean a lot to me and my family that are important to me. So start thinking about, here's a little homework, like I give my clients a little homework on what is your definition of success, right? And what is your way of success? Even if you're not there yet, ideally, what are you working towards? And then tap into your mind, into your body. How does it feel when you talk about that success? Because then we want to do the regulation to make sure that the body and the mind feel safe as we're working towards that success, right? What else do I want to say before we close out? Episode 2 coming next week. Episodes will be dropping on Tuesdays. I'm going to be bringing in Jenna Chabelle from College Navigators. She is, and for all intents and purposes, a college counselor, was for many years, and now she's created an uber successful business. She has over 100,000 followers on Instagram, and she guides high schoolers and parents through the process of getting into college in a way that feels easy. Not easy because you don't have to do a lot of work, but it feels simple, right? She supports them on the college applications and the whole process that can be really stressful. And she did it her way. So I'm super excited. I'm honored to be able to deep dive into the topic of women entrepreneurship, wealth, legacy, doing it your way in season 2. Let me know what you think. Connect with me on Instagram. Wherever you're listening to this, please forward along and share this podcast, whether it's on Apple or Spotify or YouTube, with friends that are entrepreneurs, that are starting to start a business, that are thinking, maybe it's yourself. I want us to stay connected and form a community. And lastly, what I want to talk about as on the topic of community before we wrap up is Her Purpose Collective. So I'm officially launching next week Her Purpose Collective, and this is choose your own adventure for all of you out there that want to be supported in your journey. You can either join us once a month, as we are going to be gathering once a month on monthly workshops and masterclasses, all about building your business and staying on purpose. So that's once a month. Come in. It'll be a monthly membership, $88 a month. You get access to the recordings. You can come live, and we're really going to grow this community. Or you can join us for the weekly mastermind. This is if you're needing a higher level support. You want to come in with a group of less than 10 women, 3 weeks a month. The last week of the month, we're always off. So I'm going to put more details on this on the show notes so you can connect. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm so honored to be able to be a channel, a guide, a teacher, and also a student in many ways of this journey of creating businesses that support ourselves, our family, our legacy, doing it on purpose, respecting and honoring our values, and really being intentional on how we are showing up in this world. Until then, follow your joy always and in all ways. Take care, my friends.